10. Can I start going through the agenda? Number 1, Sederunt, apologies for the pension subcommittee. There we go.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Yes, we're a slight gathering this morning. We've got 4 pension subcommittee members present. I believe Councillors McClelland and Councillors Nicholl are on their way. Got a few, Councillor McComb, Councillor Murray, and Councillor Ronnie, and Councillor Carruthers, not currently present.
Thank you very much for that. And can item number 2, Sederunt, apologies for the pension board.
Okay, thank you, Chair. We've got 3 board members currently present and 2 apologies from Tom Featherstone and Grant Coulthart. That means that the pensions board currently isn't quorate.
There's also an apology from Sheila Smith.
Okay, I think we'll do what we've done in previous times and we'll just let the pension board remain in meeting. Hopefully they might become quorate at some point.
Could I just make a comment? I think the Uranium Committee is not that great either. And I think, with all due respect, I think we would need to write to the members to encourage them to attend these meetings. They're important meetings. But unfortunately, I think, no disrespect to anybody, we have a lot of new members and they didn't realise the importance of the pension fund, and I think we maybe need to write to them individually just to point to, and I would include people that's here as well, just to be polite. Not that I necessarily want to be polite, but I think that might be a way forward.
No, I think certainly your views are shared there. I do know that there's a couple of members of the pension board who are actually not in the best of health at the moment, so I'm sure they would have been along today had that not been the case. Can we take item number 3, any declarations of interest from the pension subcommittee? No. And item number 4, any declarations of interest from the pension board? Good. We'll take item number 5, the minutes of the pension subcommittee in the meeting of the 23rd of November. Are we happy to agree these? Yep. Items number 6 and 7 won't be able to take at the moment, will we? No. That's fine, we can put them on to the next agenda. Item number 8, the Markets and Financial Instruments Directive 2, annual training plan and record of training update. Is there anything you want to add to the report?
Thanks, Chair. I mean, basically it's a standing item on the committee now, the training plan. Just to let members know that all of our applications to be opted up to professional status were accepted, so we're now classed as a professional investor with all the fund managers, etc. Some of them will require regular updates on member status, etc. So it is imperative that the training continues and people do attend meetings, go to training sessions, raise issues with us. A couple of things have happened since the last meeting. One was that we were supposed to be going to a meeting in Edinburgh, and due to unforeseen travel problems, that was cancelled. And also the Baillie Gifford are holding a seminar on the 20th of March. We do have some additional information on that here. It's specifically for investors in the Diversified Growth Fund, so which is the one that we're invested in, and it gives you an insight of how they actually manage the fund, run the fund, come to decisions, etc. So again, I would encourage members to go, both members of the committee and members of the pensions board. We do have 6 places offered, and we hopefully will fill them. If there's demand for more, then I'll get in touch with Baillie Gifford and see where we stand. I think we've got a few small copies of the invites here, so if anybody's interested, I can give them one of them, just a bit more detail on the thing. Anybody who is interested, if you could let us know by next Friday to give us time to get in touch with Baillie Gifford, I'd appreciate that. And also anybody who is unable to go, if they could let us know as well, so that we know where we stand with all of the various members.
Thanks. I wonder if it's maybe worthwhile if you could send out an email about that to members. I appreciate there's a number not here today, just to make them fully aware of that. Just on the actual training plan, I was thinking at the seminar that we held in December, there was a number of members of the whole council, not just of the committee, and I wondered if there's a way that we can record that for the applications that you referred to.
So recording for the...
So, you know, we were talking about, you know, having this training plan, but appreciating the fact that there are members of the full council, not just of this committee, who have done some sort of training around pensions, and I wondered if there's a way that we can, you know, maybe not record it at every pension subcommittee meeting, but actually to record it, you know, in general for any applications that's required.
Yeah, I think if we could accept each member has a training plan themselves, I think, so we could make sure that it's recorded on that.
Is there any questions for it, Stephen?
Thanks, Chair. A couple of points. I think the Bailey Gifford event is a direct clash with the Economy, Environment and Infrastructure Committee with the Council, so that might affect some members' availability, understandably. And secondly, there might be a few members reading through the training record, wondering why there's an X against their name when they've maybe completed the pension regulator training online. So I'm just wondering if there's maybe an amnesty for those who have completed that to hand in their certificates or whatever it might be. Is that something that you're aware of?
It was something I was going to mention. We are aware that some members have done it, but until they let us know, then we can't record it. So anybody who has completed the training, please let us know. I mean, the email address is there. Just send us a quick email to say that we've completed the thing on such and such a date, and it'll be recorded accordingly.
Is a printed copy of the certificate suitable as well? Or?
Yeah.
That's my excuse too. Any other questions? No, are we happy to proceed to the recommendations? Are we happy to note 2.1, the additions to the annual training plan in Appendix 1 following the previous meeting of this committee? 2.2, note the progress to date in the record of training in Appendix 2 and the process for updating the record of training. Note 2.3 that Dumfries and Galloway Pension Fund has satisfied both the quantitative and qualitative tests as required by Markets and Financial Instruments Directive 2 legislation and has opted up to professional client status. 2.4 that note that the online pensions regulator public service toolkit training is available at the following address, and that the background information, what is responsible investment, is also available and is now overdue for completion. And note 2.5 that registers of interest in attending the Bailey Gifford Multi-Asset Classic Seminar on the 20th of March should be sent to the email address by the 1st of March. Good. Item number 9 is the external audit plan for 2017-18. We have John Boyd here to speak to us. Yeah. Is there any questions? No.
Oh, here we are. Sorry about that. John, obviously you take your findings from last year's audit into account in terms of producing this year's plan. Is there any of the risks that are specific to the Dumfries and Galloway Fund, or is it all just issues that you would bring up in any review of a pension fund at this stage?
Okay, if there's no further questions, we're happy to move to the recommendations, and that is to note and comment on the external audit plan for 2017-18. Okay, perfect. We move on to item 10, the actuarial valuation as at the 31st of March 2017, the interim results update. Andy, do you want to provide an update on this?
Thanks for that. Yeah, been following on from the last meeting where the members had a presentation from Hymans Robertson, which outlined the valuation results for the whole fund. They've now progressed further than that and produced individual employer results. The employers have been notified about the the initial findings. We're still in discussion with a couple of them. There's a couple who are, their payroll has fallen substantially. They're getting into a cessation stage, so we're in discussion with them about getting an appropriate contribution rate from the 1st of April. So those things are ongoing. The rest of the employers seem fairly happy. I mean, so we're quite happy enough with that. The other area covered in this is the funding strategy statement. There's a draft copy of the statement attached to the report. This statement, it basically outlines how the fund operates with relation to the employers, how the valuation's carried out, how the contribution rates are set, how we deal with new employers coming in, the issues affecting employers as they come to the end of their time within the scheme, etc. It has been sent to the employers for consultation. Members that have been asked for comment on this. I've asked other employers if they can come back to us by the 19th of March, so if any of the members have any comments, etc., if they could let me know by then, we can get it incorporated. The report itself has been produced mainly by Hymans Robertson, so hopefully it covers all the issues and it ensures that the pension fund has a sort of secure modus of operation going forward. But happy to take any questions on that.
So any questions? Stephen?
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, it was just a couple of questions around, you touched on it a wee bit on 3.4 in the report. It talks about the cessation of a couple of employers. And it was just really to understand what that means in terms of, is that a risk factor? I'd imagine it would be within parameters sort of thing, but it was just to really understand what that means to the pension fund as a whole. And also, obviously this is to do with the proposed contribution rates and changes to that, but looking through the report, I couldn't readily find what those proposed rates would be, and at what point do we need to see that, or in order to be able to comment on it, or is it for good reason that we don't?
If I could take the second point first, the various proposed, well, once the rates are agreed, etc., they will be incorporated into the annual account. So it's not a private issue, but basically it's the actuary sets the rate, basically. So they set a minimum rate. So we're in discussions with the employers to ensure that we can get an agreement between the actuary and the employer, so that the actuary is happy that the employers are paying an appropriate rate to the fund. The council rate has been proposed at 21.5% of pensionable pay, which is the same as it is just now. The council obviously has a fairly strong covenant, etc. So it also has a stabilisation method built into its valuations, where we can show that, well, the actuary can show that in the long term that rate will be sufficient to cover, to bring the fund back, or the council's element of that, to bring it back to the 100% funding within an agreed timescale.
Can I just come back on one thing you did say there? It was just it's just to understand the actuaries set the rate, but it sounds like there's also a bit of negotiation. So I don't know if they set the rate and then negotiate that with the employer to see if they can deliver that, or they set the rate after having negotiated with the employer to see what can be delivered, if you see what I mean.
The actuary, following the valuation, the actuary proposes a rate, and it's a case of that's the starting point, and in the vast majority of cases, that is the rate that's set going forward.
And just on the cessation of two of the employers, just to understand a wee bit more about what that means, if anything, if it's a significant risk or not.
The employers concerned are CIC and Shanks. Both are admitted bodies within the scheme, and both are closed to new membership. So obviously, over a period of time, as the active members who transferred in to or who were in the scheme at the transfer of the the agreement, remain in the scheme, but nobody else gets in. No other employees from those employers can join the scheme. So over time, as they drop out, as they retire, etc., it comes to a stage where the active membership falls to a substance. Both of those employers now have either a minimum, Shanks there's only 2 active members left. Now, once there's no active members, there's no contributions coming in from the employer. So they actually will look at the position of those employers within the scheme, and they will come out with a valuation, basically, to ensure that there are sufficient assets held by that employer within the scheme to cover the future liabilities for once the benefits start get paid out. The issue is that when there's no active members, they actually takes a far more prudent view of the valuation. And rather than valuing on an ongoing basis, where there's funds coming in on a regular basis, they look at valuing the liabilities on a gilts basis, so that they don't take account of any investment outperformance, they don't take account of any other money coming in. So the valuation tends to go up, or the value of the liabilities tends to go up fairly substantially. The risk to the scheme is that this cessation valuation is unaffordable to the employer, because the employees are still due the benefits. So it's getting the employer to put the funds in to cover the possible liabilities going forward. So as they approach cessation, then their employer contribution rate tends to shoot up, or they're asked to make substantial lump sums into the scheme, etc. The valuation itself does have certain criteria. If an employer has a guarantor or has a bond in place, etc., then there's less risk to the fund. Ultimately, what the actuaries are doing is trying to ensure that once the last active member from these employers ceases, then there'll be no risk to or no increased risk to the fund or the rest of the employers.
Thank you. I think that extra detail has provided the assurance I was looking for. Thank you.
Any further questions? Yep.
Sorry, I just got the papers today, not through any fault of my own, but it seems to be a difficulty with the postal service. I know they were posted out in good time, but they just didn't arrive. But I was kind of expecting to see something that was a bit clearer to understand, because you're saying, note the proposed employer contribution rates, but we don't actually see the employer contribution rates. There's just a way of calculating them explained to us. You mentioned the council rate is 21.5%, but there's, we don't know what all the other rates are, whether they've gone up or down or changed or whatever. So it's not really a query about any of the things that are in the report. It's just a query about how much clarity there is for us in the report. Because we're given information, but it's difficult to make any comment or decisions on the information if we're not sure what it actually means.
Yeah, I mean, the employer contribution rates will be public once they're agreed. They'll be in any of the publications that going forward. So, I mean, it's not a private issue. It's just the fact that the vast majority of them, well, the vast majority is 10. Some of them have gone up, some of them have come down a bit, and some of them have stayed the same. Basically, police, fire have come down slightly. 2 or 3 of the other ones have stayed much the same. So there's no great discrepancies on what there was before.
Does that answer your query?
Not particularly. What I was really asking is for more clarity in the future and more more clearer information that we can understand and perhaps better use.
Okay, that's probably the type of comments that we could maybe all sort of feed into before the 19th of March if members are happy with that. Any further questions? No, we're happy to move on to recommendations, and that is We've reviewed and commented on the draft funding strategy statement attached as the appendix to this report. And 2.2, to note that proposed employer contribution rates and the draft funding strategy statement have been circulated to scheme employers for agreement prior to the valuation being signed off by the 31st of March, 2018, as detailed in sections 3.3 to 3.5 below. Happy to note. Item number 11, is any other business deemed urgent? Nope. And item number 12, are we happy to consider the adoption of resolution to exclude the public from the meeting in terms of section 50A4 and paragraph 9 of part 1 of the Schedule 7A of the Local Government Scotland Act 1973? Yep. We'll move on to item number 13, which is a review of investment managers' performance for the fourth quarter of 2017. We have Paul Potter here to speak to us regarding this.